Hello, you beautiful individuals. Today, we are, well, before we start, taking a quick second to say thank you again to Atheist Jr. He had me on last night for a stream where we went over my past debate here with Mr. Definitely Not a Doctor, Kent Hovind. And yeah, it got 1.2 thousand views so far, so not too shabby, I guess. Not complaining. And yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I had a lot of fun. Uh, he's an amazing YouTuber, an amazing person, just in general. So if you haven't, please go watch him. Just, just go watch him. He's awesome. Very funny, very intelligent, and just all around great dude. I mean, if you like my videos at all, like even a little bit, you'll love his videos. He's way better than me. So yeah, definitely go like him or subscribe to him, like his videos, comment, all that good stuff. Get him up there. He deserves it. He's awesome. So thank you again, AJ, and thank you, Ian Chen, for introducing us and making that happen. You're both absolutely beautiful people. Now, on to what I was going to do. I wanted to laugh. I just wanted to react to something that is so ridiculous and so far out there that I could just laugh and have a decent time. So I went to HansWormsForBrainsHat, or now as he's known as Rifitakahia, or Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Why he didn't make it the kingdom of heaven is at hands, or Hans, whatever, I don't know. He should have. Really missed out there. But anyway, yeah, so this is some of his videos that he does. These are his most popular ones. Send this to people who believe in penguins. Apparently D-Day was boring, which is just ignorant. I don't understand what you mean by that, but I don't even want to watch that. That'll just make me mad. Top 10 fake animals. The secret explained simply. Nobody climbs Mount Everest. Time really is going faster. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just, he just basically, he believes in every single conspiracy theory that's ever been thought of, plus the ones he's made up in his own head. He's quite a colorful character, if you will. But then, when I clicked over on his channel, I seen this, which I did not watch this all. I watched just a couple seconds in, kind of see what it was about, and well, look, let's click on it, and then I'll show you what I watched too.
I was looking for some inspiration today, and I opened Google not even knowing what to type in, but Google gave me the inspiration themselves with this honoring Transgender Awareness Week.
Now that's where I stopped. I stopped right there, and I was like, all right. So I can't really tell if he has an issue with transgender people, but it kind of seems like he does, and maybe not. I hope I'm wrong, just because it infuriates me. I mean, these are just people trying to live their lives, trying to be happy, and at the end of the day, if what they're doing to try to be happy isn't hurting anybody, then what the fuck does it matter? Like, why people get so in an uproar about this, with these straw man arguments against it and claiming it to be a mental illness and all this nonsense, when it annoys me. Like, they're not, no, nobody, like I said, if they're not hurting anybody, then it doesn't matter. They're just trying to live their lives. Leave them the fuck alone. But, as it is, there's people like Matt Powell and Matt Walsh and many others out there who have all sorts of major, outcries against it, and, dedicate a lot of their time just to, I guess, try to turn people away from this for some reason. I don't know. It irritates me. But anyway, let's jump into it and see what Mr. Hans Wormhat has to say.
So, let's go ahead and honor transgender awareness. And I'm going to read this article, make a few comments. I'm going to have to just cut myself short really fast whenever I make comments, because this is just such a huge topic. I can go off the rails at any moment and have so much to talk about. And that in itself...
Go off the rails about what? I mean, you didn't really go into detail there, but is it you want to go off the rails because you hate how people are so ignorant and hateful towards, quite frankly, a small group of the population for no reason, or go off the rails because you're ignorant and you don't understand and you just, listen to other people on YouTube and basically want to regurgitate what they say in a even more ignorant way than they do. Let's find out.
Is the issue? Why are we still talking about trans stuff? Why is it this big thing? In a world that makes sense, trans issues should be a non-discussion topic because it's so fringe. And ultimately, the goal of any trans person would be to transition, to live as the other, as whatever they want.
No, see, you're not completely wrong, I guess, on the ultimate goal, but realistically, in my opinion, it seems the ultimate goal is they just want to be happy and comfortable and want to be who they feel they want to be, which I don't see why that's a problem. Now, what you said there about why people are still talking about it, well, there's a lot of reasons. One, they don't have, I mean, in many parts of the world, even here in America, they are not only discriminated against, but just, I mean, straight up looked at as evil by a vast majority of the population, by ignorant human beings. Usually religious type, not always, but usually. And in other parts of the world, I mean, you can freaking be killed for it. So that's one reason why we talk about it. Another reason is because of ignorant people, maybe not like you, but you're starting to get to that level that I'm thinking. So, but I'll just say people like Matt Walsh have to go out there and dedicate so much time of their lives to essentially, you know, try to make these people look horrible when, dude, they're just people like anyone else. I mean, it's just, I just don't get it. Like, if they're not bothering you, why do you care so much? It's mind blowing. Like, anyway, let's keep watching. Let's keep watching.
Want to. No judgments here. I literally don't care.
Okay, well there we go. That's something. He said no judgments, and he literally doesn't care, but yet he still made a nearly 12-minute video about it. So I would say he cares at least a little bit, right? Tiny bit.
And to pass, and then to stop talking about it. That should be the goal of trans people. To pass, and then stop talking about it, and to have acceptance. They have my acceptance. I really don't care. The more
Man, and that's what they've been looking for. They have been just dying for HansWormsForBrainsHat's acceptance. I mean, now that they have it, I mean, they're fine. The world's better now. Everything's good, and we're good to go. I mean, they have HansWormsForBrainsHat's acceptance. I mean, what else do you need in life?
more you learn about Swire syndrome, intersex conditions, where you live, the less you care.
Where you live. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and you could also learn about, the neurological science behind gender ideology and things like that, but, that would just take effort, and, you wouldn't be able to just regurgitate things you've heard other people say. But, whatever.
Care about that stuff. But you see why so many other people freak out about it and do care so much. That makes more sense too. Oh, okay. You got a dog in this fight, right? This hits a little close to home to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does actually. Not only do I have friends and know people that are transgender from both, I guess I don't want to say both sides like there's only two, but I mean what I mean is, from people who went and are going from male to female as well as from female to male. And the things they have to deal with and put up with because of ignorant human beings, it's just sickening to me. Like these are just perfectly normal people. Like there's nothing wrong with them at all. Sorry for the random pause there. If you could tell, I had to burp, and yeah, just didn't want to be too rude on camera, I guess. Not camera, recording, I should say. But anyway, these are just people that want to live their lives. Just want to be happy like anyone else. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, at least, they ain't going around saying penguins and bears and gorillas and everything else are fake for literally no reason. This is all coming from a man who literally believes that animals at the zoo are either stuffed animals. Sometimes he says maybe animatronic, but I don't know. And other times he says people in costumes. I mean, this is the kind of mindset we're dealing with here. So remember, though, you have his acceptance. So, I mean, come on. Like, what else do you need in life?
So I'm going to read this. Like I said, try to keep my comments short. That's going to be the hardest part, is me not going off the rails. One of my favorite parts.
Now, see, for somebody who has this acceptance, why do you need to go off the rails, though? Because it doesn't sound like you're going to go off the rails in support. So I'm a little confused by your contradictory statements there.
So being on the Google org team is working with organizations that are advancing the rights of LGBTQ plus people around the world. First of all, why is that your favorite part of your job? Has to do with sexuality and trans people?
No, it has to do with advancing the rights of a subset of population that is heavily discriminated against. That's probably why it's a part of one of the favorite parts of their jobs. And right there, I mean, you didn't even read it. It's one of their favorite parts. It didn't necessarily say the favorite part, just one of them. But anyway, even if it was their favorite part, it's understandable because they're doing something worthwhile. They're doing something that is not only helping the world, but helping a part of the population that is looked down upon for no reason other than people are ignorant.
Shouldn't have to do with anyone's job. And why are there so many organizations for this thing? It should be so fringe, but it's not.
Because they're so discriminated against. Because they are, I mean, there's people that are killed not only for being trans, but for being, gay or whatever. Like, they are looked at as evil by certain people because of their stupid religion that tells them it is. This is especially when you look at Christianity, a religion that has committed mass genocide, killed God knows how many people over the course of history. And they look down on people because they don't want to conform to the normal, male and female relationship, or because they don't want to be the gender they were born as. They feel different. They are different from the sex they were born as. Their gender, sorry, I'm getting a little angry at this point. Give me a second. All right. Had to take a second there. Let's just jump into it.
I personally know people who deal with these organizations, LGBTQ+. There's so many of them. Hundreds of organizations dealing with sexuality. If that doesn't show you the amount of degeneracy going on today, none of this stuff, nobody cares. What happened to keeping your sex life behind closed doors? And again, the trans thing. If you're trans, your goal should be transitioning and keeping quiet about it and living your life.
Why? Why should that be their goal? Like, who are you to tell them what their goal should be? I mean, you don't keep quiet about your ignorant ideas at all. Like, like I said, you believe that animals are fake except for maybe squirrels and dogs, and you don't ever keep quiet about it. Why should these people who are discriminated against, looked down upon, be quiet or not speak up for their own rights? Would you say the same thing about civil rights back in the day when it came to, African Americans here in America? Would you tell them they need to be quiet, that their goal is to just move on? No, it's ignorant. And I'm not trying to compare the two and say one is worse or better than the other or anything like that, but my point is that it's still discrimination. And it's still, you don't need to be quiet about it. You should be very vocal and loud about it. Everything that's discriminated against, you should be very vocal about it. When it comes, once again, if you're living your life and it's not hurting anybody, I mean actually hurting anybody, I don't mean upsetting their feelings or making them, feel gross or some stupid crap, whatever ignorant thoughts go through their head. If they're just living their life and trying to be happy, then you shut up, Hans. You. Why don't you be quiet and move on?
And you have my total acceptance for that. But when you come out screeching and, okay, See, I'm going off the rails. Let's keep reading. There are truly inspiring people in our community doing important advocacy work, and it's an immense privilege to be able to provide support to them. They are so full of themselves. This Trans Awareness Week, we wanted to spotlight two organizations, two of the thousands of organizations, guys, working to uplift trans folks. Trans Tech Social, an incubator, just the words that they use in this article, an incubator for LGBTQ plus talent, which received grant funding from Google.org, and trans-owned clothing brand Life on Mars that has grown by using Google's online tools. And yeah, Google shuts down certain people and puts other people into the spotlight. Supporting trans people in tech.
I mean, they shut down ignorant things like, say, flat Earth or anti-vax, but they're not going to shut down people who are just trying to live their lives and be happy and are, like I said, discriminated and looked down upon for essentially no reason at all. Why would they do that? That would be dumb.
When the pandemic hit, Nikita Washington knew it was time for a change. She left her job in education. Yes, these people are all over education. These LGBTQ, whatever, alleged nonprofits are thinly veiled grooming organizations when they're aimed at children.
Oh, fuck you. That grooming word, man. Now listen, obviously, I now look, any kind of, say, things with children piss me off. I have a kid. I have a daughter. And I don't believe that kids should be groomed, quote unquote. That would be ridiculous. I believe personally that kids should make their own decisions. But to make this claim that a lot of you make, and he didn't necessarily say it here, but a lot of people make this claim, that all of them do this. They say they all are grooming kids. They all are trying to go into the opposite bathroom to spy on children or whatever nonsense. No, that's ignorant. It's not true at all. Most are just trying to live their life. Now, and at the end of the day, I guarantee you, there are way more non-trans people doing horrendous, heinous acts to children than there are trans people doing it. So let's not get bogged down by a few. Like, that's just ridiculous.
She left her job in education to pursue a career in tech and soon discovered that user experience design allowed her to combine her love of both creativity and analytics. There was this is fine. Nobody should get your sexuality, your gender identity should have nothing to do with your job at all, period.
I mean, what if your job is to help those people that are struggling with, say, their sexuality or gender identity, or are dealing with discrimination due to their sexuality or gender identity? Then I think it would come into their job be quite influential, actually, and a good thing.
And this, I have experience, and academia is just, it shows you how boneheaded these people are. I've always just had an understanding that as a teacher, you need to be completely neutral. I mean, this used to be a thing in the 90s, I believe. This was a thing that people talked about in the 90s, how teachers are supposed to be non-partial. You're supposed to come from a very neutral perspective.
Okay, for one, in the 90s. No, that's not true. Teachers have not all... No one's neutral. Everyone has biases. And your bias is always going to show through. It just is. Yes, some are very good at trying to, remain as neutral as possible, but biases will always come through. And teachers are not neutral. Dude, I had a teacher, I'm not even kidding you, who spent a literal quarter of the year just going over JFK and his assassination and like all the different theories and conspiracy theories, that come along with that. I mean, an entire, quarter of the entire year was just spent on that. And he was a math teacher. Now, teachers aren't going to remain neutral. And honestly, in a way, they shouldn't. I'm not saying they should be pushing their own personal, political agenda or even agendas dealing with this onto kids. But at the same time, they shouldn't have to hide their biases to be a teacher. Sometimes those biases can be quite helpful. And if you have a kid who is truly struggling with either their sexuality or gender or both, having a teacher that isn't neutral and is helping to support that kid and work through this would be a good thing. A lot of the times, kids rely on teachers because they don't have the support or love that they from their parents that they should. Sometimes they don't have parents. I mean, they're not, biological or even adopted parents. Some are in the foster system and basically have nobody to rely on. I mean, there's, not all of them foster homes are great. And so, yeah, teachers are extremely important.
But it's like they don't even care anymore how obvious it is that they're not neutral. Okay, continuing. There was a problem, though. Why is this a problem? Nikita quickly realized she was often the only queer person of color in the room. Wow, very specific. Are we going to start adding? What if Nikita was in a wheelchair? Nikita was the only.
I mean, what if she was? And what if she felt the same way about being in a wheelchair? Would that have been a problem? What if it was just the color thing? Would that have been a problem? I mean, where do you draw the line? That's all I'm wondering. I mean, I'm not saying she necessarily should have had an issue with being the only, quote unquote queer person of color in the room. But at the same time, she shouldn't be wrong or looked down upon because she felt that way. She wanted to, not necessarily fit in more, but have people around her who are, experiencing the same things that she does. We all do. We all want to fit in. We all want a community, and we all want that support from one another, and it helps if that support is coming from somebody who can relate to what you're going through. And I don't see that being an issue. Now, if she started, say harming people or started causing major issues because of that, then yeah, then it might become an issue, but I don't know what's going to happen next. I guess we'll see.
Queer person, disabled person of color, like, does there have to be some new rule about everybody gets a certain point number assigned to them for how disabled they are, how many labels they have attached to it? And it just drives me crazy how these people pretend that it's all about acceptance. But no, what I explained to you is acceptance. And acceptance of a trans person is allowing them to transition and to shut up about it and let them live their life. That's acceptance.
Bro, you've made 3 videos in a row. What are you talking about? You've made 3 videos in a row about this topic. You're saying that acceptance should supposedly be letting them do what they do and not say anything about it, while simultaneously making 3 videos talking about this. Like, I haven't watched the other 2, obviously. I haven't watched this one. I'm watching it right now. But my point is, like, how can you not see the hypocrisy in that statement? It's insane to me.
What they're doing is something else entirely. Clown freak show. That's
a clown freak show.
Not acceptance. We're supposed to be accepting, and if you want to love your individuality, why do you have to surround yourself with people exactly like you? That sounds like a cult behavior, not like loving the individual.
No, it's about finding people that are experiencing what you're experiencing and building a community around it. You don't have to surround yourself with only those people, and I highly, highly doubt that is what they are claiming here. But to have at least a few others is not crazy, and to want that is not crazy. I mean, it's just, I'm not, man, how are you this ignorant? I mean, I know you were, but dear Lord.
When you demand everybody else is like you. She found herself craving the support and community of other trans people working in tech. That's where Trans Tech Social came in. It's an organization working to increase the representation of trans people in tech through training, an annual summit, and an online community.
Okay, see right there, to increase the representation. It doesn't say to replace and only make those people in there. It's just they want to increase it. They want more people that are like them, that are experiencing what they are experiencing, so they have that community. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm done with this. You know what? just it's ridiculous. I wanted to laugh at you, HansWormsForBrainsHat, and I couldn't even do that because you're too ignorant. And ah, fuck you, HansWormsForBrainsHat. How about that? Fuck you.